Thompson.
Here.
Gothier. Absent. Small.
Here.
Brady.
Here.
Brumman.
Here.
So motion to approve the minutes from September 1st regular meeting. And hold on. E-check number 1652 to 1658. Think that's a mistake?
No.
Oh, okay, good. So then I have a motion from Carolyn and seconded by Terry. That means we need a roll call because. Roll call, please.
Brumman.
Yes.
Small.
Yes.
Brady.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, public comment, 3 minutes, state your name and your township.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for that opening prayer. That's really awesome. Tamara Quick, Haynes Township. Going to read a short article by Joseph Campbell written in 2017 called "When Good People Do Nothing," based on Proverbs 24:11-12 and Mark 10:46-49. It started so elegantly, but it ended up looking like the Keystone Cops taking over Christmas Eve. Gavin, the pastor, was perplexed when he looked out among the people. They weren't looking at him. They seemed to be looking past him. Most were focused on one single candelabra that was placed just inches from the flowing sheer fabric that provided a backdrop for the Christmas Eve candlelight service. The people who saw it looked horrified. As Gavin spoke, his mind reeled. What did I say? What's going on with these people? And then after 5 minutes, it happened. The vents blew the fabric into the candelabra. The growing flame traveled up the fabric, and the running, shouting, and the fire extinguishing commenced. The night was not silent. There was no heavenly peace. It was just a minor story, a minor fire, but it made up a great story and a memorable Christmas Eve service that the church would never forget. Dozens noticed it, but each one thought, I don't want to be the weird guy who walks on stage while the pastor is speaking. The moment seemed too big to boldly walk up there and put the candelabra away from the draped fabric. That was long before the fire retardant foam spewed from the extinguisher. Reading Proverbs 24 reminded me of that story. If you do nothing in a difficult time, your strength is limited. If you say, but we did not know this, won't he who weighs our hearts consider it? Won't he who protects your life know? Won't he repay a person according to his work? No one's life was in danger that night, but the scripture is eerily apropos. If you do nothing, your strength is limited. Sometimes we have to take a little initiative. Like me here today, it's a little embarrassing, but we need to prevent something even more embarrassing or dangerous. For most of us, our default is to keep quiet and not to make waves. President John F. Kennedy said, in quoting someone in 1961, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. It's always easier to do nothing in a difficult time, but it's not what we are created for. God looks for people who will take the initiative, speak truth in hard places, say the last painful 2% that needs to be said, and cut off tragedy at the pass. I urge you, good men and women, our commissioners of Alcona County, be proactive in adopting these resolutions today. Let's do something before the fire starts and we lose all of our freedoms. Let's do something before America burns to the ground. Thank you.
Very much. Next public comment, please.
Hi, Jerry Klingenberg, Harrisville Township, and I'm here today to support Bob and Lisa Turk's resolution for, it's called Vaccine Awareness and Medical Autonomy. And I just think it's really important that we don't let our freedom, just like Tamara said.
Jerry, can you spell your last name for me, please?
Klingenberg, it's Klingenberg.
Next for public comment, please. Sir.
My name is Jeffrey Dobbs, and I'm from Curtis Township. I'm also here in support of Bob Turek's resolution for COVID awareness and medical autonomy, and just calling on you all to bring it to the table and perform at least jurisprudence on what I believe is our local government's foundational purpose, and that is to protect our citizens' rights. If we don't have a choice, then we don't have rights, and I believe it falls upon you first and us as well to protect our rights. So that's why we're here imploring you to stand up and do what we believe is right and protect our constitutional God-given rights. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else, public comment?
My name is Jessica Dobbs, Curtisville Township. I am here also in support of the Turks resolution today for medical autonomy. As you guys heard last time I was here, I'm all about freedom, and we're going down a slippery slope if we avoid this issue that is very fast at hand and kind of right in our faces now. So I'm here to support them, and I believe you guys will do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, public comment?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Suzanne Baxis. I'm a member of Harrisville Township. And I'm also here to support the proposal here. I believe that it's so important to act positively, to act before the trouble begins. There are so many things that are not being considered by our government, especially things like natural immunities. And I just really feel that we have an opportunity here to be proactive, to stop that slippery slope that we're talking about, and to show how important our freedom is in Alcorn County.
Thank you very much.
Can you spell your last name for me, please?
Baksis.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment?
Pam McKinnon. And I am also here in support of the resolution from the Terex. And do you need my address?
Nope.
Okay.
Just your township.
What'd you say your first name was? Pam. Pause. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. I should have been more clear. I apologize. Anyone else, public comment? Okay. Anybody on the internet speaking up? Chats. Moving on. Thank you, everybody. Presentations, we start with Scott Stevenson with the jail update.
Thanks. Scott Stevenson, Hoss Township. The city of Harrisville quite often too.
Yeah. I was
gonna say.
Yeah.
Smart guy, don't forget that part.
Haven't given you an update in a while, so I've spoke to some of you here and there as we've passed cross paths lately. I've asked both Alpena and Iosco County for bids on housing my prisoners, and gotten a response from Iosco County verbally and in an email, very favorable bid. Alpena County had some issues with taking on Montmorency's issues or inmates. And they don't want our inmates right now, so they're not offering a bid to me, and they may in the near future offer me a bid, but right now they're not interested, but they are interested in our staff. So Sheriff and Iosco County and I are working on drawing up a contract for you guys to look at. Before we do that, I'll have the lawyers associated with their county and ours look at it, but it'll be very similar to what Montmorency and Alpena have going on. It's a very favorable deal. It's for 10 beds. Guaranteed for $135,000 for the year, per diem above that. So if we have 11 inmates, we won't $30. Okay. I don't know that Alpena County is going to be able to match that based on what they have with Montmorency. I think they're probably going to come in a little bit higher when that time comes. So we're going to pursue this one and see how this goes. A couple of things real favorable about Iosco County is they share the same court system we do. Same judges, same probation officers, same magistrates. That's really handy. They're also a couple miles closer, a couple miles or a couple minutes drive time shorter. There's a great way to get down there through Delaney on the west side of the county to get down to their jail, down in 65, where Alpena has no great way to get there. We're kind of stuck. Once you go up Kings Island, we're stuck going through the city of Alpena. So I have a great working relationship with both those sheriffs. I think either way, it's going to work out very well for us. But the bid for my Asco County came in quite a bit lower than I thought we were gonna hear. So he's very confident. He's speaking to his board today about that. He's very confident that's gonna roll through. So I'll keep you updated on how that's going. What else do I have going on? Go through those bids. One of these counties and we get a contract in place, I have to provide the contract and the minutes where you guys approve that to the Department of Corrections so they can classify it as a lockup at that point. Without that, I can't classify it as a lockup. I'm still in jail. So. I've mentioned before that I'm probably gonna need a couple more depths to run the road patrol with the inmate issue and having to run them out of county from time to time. One of the spots I'm really looking at that is we gotta get back in school. We can't keep playing around not having somebody in school. We've flirted with danger on that the last couple of years. And if I'm ever able to bolster up our staffing, that's where the first guy's going. The reality of the matter is there ain't no cops around here to work. There just isn't. Alpena County's been hiring for a while. Alpena City's been hiring. And Mount Morency, when they went through all this a few months ago, they were authorized by their county board to hire 3 new deputies. They're still looking. There's just nobody around. So I told the guys to start mining around and see who's around that's retired, that's still certifiable, that I can put out there for a couple days a week to do something. But I'd love to be able to hire 3 more people to work our road patrol. I just don't know where the heck I'm gonna find it right now. You know, so we're gonna look and see. I'm sitting on the prospect of one of my guys resigning this week and going to work in Oscoda. That happens, I'm back to square one. So we'll deal with that when that happens. And the other thing I wanted to mention is budget time is coming up. I'm putting on vehicles. I'm gonna get through this year, but next year I'm gonna have to build up the fleet. So I'm gonna be doing some research on what it's gonna take to do that. It's probably gonna take about 3 vehicles. And I gotta look at the long-term cost of leasing as compared to buying. The prospect of us getting into a 9-car fleet that's leased is not good. So we may end up having to go back to buying next year and then maybe back and forth leasing or something like that. But I'm gonna draw it out over 4 years and take a look at it, see what's gonna be most cost effective. But I've got 4 right now that are 200,000 miles plus, and that's not good. So we gotta correct that. Hopefully, some of the offset of the jail slowing down operations and costs, we can turn into the fleet maybe and some more staff and road patrol. So that's kind of where we're at right now with the jail and a couple other things over there.
Every year contract is kind of.
The contract that I'm working with IASCO, we haven't determined terms yet. I think I'm probably going to get into 3 years with an opt-out. They did a 10-year up there. I'm not sure why. In 3 years, and at 3 years they can look at revisit the costs, but it's a 10-year contract. I'm not right now. Seems a little long to me. So I'll probably try to keep it around 3 years or something like that.
All right, Scott.
Questions, comments, concerns?
No, but sooner you can start cranking the budget stuff together.
Yeah, so I think we're probably gonna want to have maybe a budget meeting about the jail and how that's gonna go.
Let me know if I answer sit down with you.
Yeah. The clerk's office came over, talked to me the other day, and their budget for the jail without all the correctional staff was very close to what I had figured out, except they forgot one thing. What it's gonna cost the house prison. Because we haven't had a line item for that forever. So
Right.
what she had budgeted for next year was very close to mine, besides the fine benefit that changed a little bit.
That's including lower costs of not having inmates.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
without the inmates.
Right.
But what was forgotten in her budget was that we got to put in 135 or 150,000 dollars in housing. So, but yeah, I think we're right there on that budget. And my hesitation on doing that was, what the heck happens if these fall through? What if Iasco County calls me up and says, hey, there's no way, it ain't happening. And Alpena County tells me, hey, there's no way. Well, then I'm stuck trying to find out where I can help. My buddy over in Leelanau County would love to happen, because he's in the same position as me. He's got a 100-bed jail and he's got 9 guys in it. So he's taking a few in from Grand Traverse County, but he says, I'll give you a hell of a deal to drive them over here, but it's not practical for us.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at. We'll be in touch with finance on vehicles and staff and things like that.
All right, so good. Thanks, Scott.
Glad I got in so quick today too. Thanks.
Next item, Mr. Turek, resolution to support vaccine awareness and medical autonomy. Mr. Turek, please.
Dr. Robert Turek, Harrisville Township. Thank you for allowing me this time to address the board. I'm here with a proposal for a resolution in support of vaccine awareness and medical autonomy. This resolution was the exact same resolution that was passed by Grand Traverse County Board of Commissioners about a month ago. All I did was change the verbiage to reflect Alcona County from Grand Traverse County. Pretty straightforward, pretty clear cut. Does not reject or support masks or vaccines. All it says, it's a matter of personal choice, and that the employees of Alcona County will not have to receive a vaccine in order to keep their jobs. I know when you do a person such as me the favor of putting us on the agenda, you do it as a courtesy so that we have a little bit more time to talk, as well as a chance to answer any questions you might have. On that latter point, I don't know that I'm going to be much help because I'm an expert neither in matters of law nor bioethics. I'm here just as an individual who has my own opinions as to what is right or wrong. I feel that when you require a person to have a shot in order to keep their job, to keep their means of support of their family, that's not called voluntary compliance. That's called blackmail, and that is wrong. When you seek to compel a branch of government such as this board to obey your directives, or else you will withhold funds or impose a fine, that's not voluntary compliance, that's called extortion, and that is wrong. I believe this federal mandate, not law, but mandate that's now being challenged by 27 attorney generals is immoral, it's unethical, it's illegal, and it's unconstitutional. Just flat out wrong. I watched in the last meeting when a similar resolution not passed the board, at least in part because of some concerns from the board members that maybe we hadn't reached that point of time yet where vaccine mandates were being imposed or vaccine passports were being imposed. I think we can all say that now that time has been reached. I also watched when a member of the attendance member stood up and said that she hoped that all the unvaccinated go to the back of the line at the hospital if they get COVID. That's called discrimination. That's very illegal. That's very, very wrong. So I'm not here to suggest that the board members in passing this resolution will remove prejudice and intolerance from the hearts and minds of men. But I do hope the passage of this resolution would protect the victims of prejudice and discrimination until the hearts and minds of men do change. Thank you.
No, for the rest of the meeting, refrain from applause. I know it's passionate. I know everybody's behind it, but it's not a show, it's a meeting. So if you just please restrain yourselves, that'd be great. I will make a motion to, I guess I'll make a motion to approve the resolution in support of vaccine awareness and medical autonomy.
Second, for the purpose of discussion.
Moved and seconded for purpose of discussion. I have a couple of points in this I don't care for particularly. The responsibility of the Alcona County Commission instructs its chair and staff to forward a copy of this resolution directly to all county commissioners or the equivalents in each of the counties in the United States. All the whole United States. So 83, so let's say every state has 80, and there's 52 states or 50 states. So 400 counties put together a mailing for this information. What, I don't know what you want to call that, but 50 cents a stamp, 200 bucks, whatever. I just, if it was to everybody in Michigan, that's number one. Number two, me personally, other commissioners stand where they want, but once again, Alcona County commissioners are here to make sure that Alcona County as a entity can remain afloat and exist without the ultimate intercession of the state to come in and tell us how we do business. Because if we can't keep our stuff in order here, then that's what we're facing. So if you want to see what it's like now to have, you know, imposition of higher government, just wait until the commissioners spend most or a lot of their time pursuing resolutions that are symbolic in a way to say, yes, I'm standing up because some of my constituents say this is important to them. And you know what? I totally agree. It is important, but my experience, but my time on this board is that it's not true. Does anybody else wish to make a comment? Carolyn?
I conceptually do agree with this. I also have marked off from my perspective, the challenge of sending this resolution to all the other counties in the country. That was one of the things that I would want to change. The other thing that I would want to change is in this first, second, third, fourth, fifth paragraph down. It's a 4-line paragraph, and the last part of it talks about encouraging employers located within Alcone County to establish, will not encourage them to establish such mandates. And I lean heavily towards believing if you have a private business, that you should have the right to run that business as long as you're not breaking any of the laws that existed. That you ought to be able to run it as you see fit. I have the choice as a patron or not a patron of your business. If I like what you're doing, I may want to use you. If I don't like what you're doing, I'll go someplace else. And I have a little bit of a problem, even though I would hope that they would not mandate. That phrase, that section. But conceptually, I do agree.
How many employees do we have as a county? Off the top of your head?
And just the county building or like including?
That is on our payroll. Because as of Friday, the theory is that if you have 100 or more employees, you have to either do weekly testing or require vaccination. We have 100 or more. Okay. So I acknowledge the fact that we're gonna have to address this. Does anybody know the deadline for that?
My OSHA has, I haven't been on the computer hardly at all this morning. The, wasn't on the last couple of days much either, but my OSHA, even though it's been forwarded and directed to my OSHA, they have not made their edict yet. All that we're doing is listening to somebody, some man who has stood up, who is acknowledged as the president of the United States, who has said, this is the way it's going to be. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it what's proper, what has to
So,
happen.
okay.
So from my perspective, we don't have the ruling.
All right, well, I'm comfortable saying that when that ruling does come down, it'd be inaction on my part
I would agree.
that says what I state. And it's, yeah, I agree that vaccine's your own business, but I'm not gonna do resolution on it. I'd just rather be inaction on my part, and if we don't do set up anything to mandate or vote to have a mandate, then we agree with not doing it. So that's right. You guys, Terry?
Well, my question, I'm sorry. My question is, you said this is probably 26 attorney generals, right? in this county?
His hearing, yeah, his
State
hearing.
Attorney General.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't remember. So there's 27 attorney generals out there who are looking at the subject right now and who are going to test it in court. I mean, is that not the place it's supposed to be done? That's where these things are all decided down the road. Whether we resolutionate something or not, they're truly going to decide in court. I mean, you brought up the president making such a statement, you know, there's already going to be a test in court against it, that you make such a ruling or make such a ruling.
Please.
That's a nice casual passing observation that I don't disagree with. But I think our first presenter very clearly stated, you need to have the guts to speak out when it gets to this point against, or well, yeah, in favor or against, depending on, you just speak out your position on it. And if everyone sits back and says, it's fine, go for it, I'm not going to do anything about it, then the fire is going to burn and the courts are going to, here's, I guess this is okay. So
It's kind of a low opinion of our court system, is it not? Just because the court system thinks it's doing it.
judge it as you wish. But I think that I just think inactivity. I have a little plaque in my window of the office that says, progress is never made by sitting down. Words to that effect. I believe that. And you know, it's the old adage, don't let grass grow under your feet. And I think there is nothing wrong, as far as I am concerned, with our Alcona County Board of Commissioners. As I said, I got a couple modifications I'd like to make in this, but what Alcona County Board of Commissioners having the intestinal fortitude to say, we don't think this is right. Now, if you do believe it's right, if you do believe that the president should be able to mandate whatever he wants for whatever reason he wants, fine, vote against something such as this. But if you think that there should be a stopping point, a place where if nothing else there is a pause, then I think we owe it to our own integrity to speak up and say something that, you know what, we really don't agree with this. And I think that's where we are. As I said, there are two things that I would modify. Modifying those two things doesn't say it would pass, but you know, they're minor. Well, one's terribly minor. Anyway, I think sitting back and letting Joe do it, or Sam, or well, not Joe, he's done. Letting Sam do it or whomever. I think it's lazy, and I think that it's not intellectually moving up the ladder to how critical, truly critical position that we are in our lives.
So I assume you're going to amend the motion. Motion's on for this.
That's
Or do we
true.
want to withdraw?
It's your pleasure. You can vote as written and do a new one, present another time. Amending, it's always kind of a tricky deal.
Well, my intent had been, prior to this discussion, to possibly get with Mr. Church, Dr. Church, and have a conversation with him to talk about these two things, and maybe some others, maybe not. But and I then bring it back to the board at our next meeting, modified as I feel it's from my perspective, 1/5 of the board feel it would be appropriate. I'm just amazed that Grand Traverse is going to send a letter out to every county in the country. It's kind of like the clerk's office would be going crazy with that one. Be hard to find them all.
Are you moving to table that, girl?
No one has to vote.
Well, most of that are with the board as written. I don't necessarily agree with the whole silence is violence crowd, but that's, that was. Okay, so any more comments? Then we will, all those in favor. Oh, Carolyn, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend the resolution as it is presented. My amendment would, in the second to last paragraph, read, Chair is have to forward a copy of this resolution to all Michigan counties and our legislators. Ours being referenced to the ones that represent us.
Adrian?
Michigan counties. Legislators.
And also with that, to delete in that paragraph that I referenced before, to delete the and will not encourage employee. Those two.
The last sentence of
Last
the
sentence.
fourth paragraph,
This paragraph.
fifth paragraph. That's a motion.
Motion to amend. Yes.
Got a second? I will second. Further discussion.
I think we have listened to our people. I've got to believe you all have had phone calls and texts and emails on this. Phyllis and I used to go back and forth on this. And she would say, and if I may, I respectfully say this, she would say, well, I have to do exactly what my constituents tell me they want me to do. My question is, do the constituents have all the facts that you have? If you have this many facts, you make your decision on that. If they only have this many facts, they may not be able to make an informed decision. I think this is a time when listening to our constituents, some of them are more informed than I am.
This man is he just is. He's been a suspect since day one. When this story first broke and the circumstances were known to the public, he was suspect number one. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but most likely.
Thank you very much, John, probably.
So that was my thing. No, it's not my-
Any further discussion for the amended resolution? Okay, all those in favor? Respond with aye.
Of the amendment, right?
Yep. All those in favor, respond with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay? Motion defeated.
So now we go back to the main motion.
Yes.
Yep. Any further discussion on the main motion?
I think the main motion as it stands is worthwhile enough to support it, despite the fact it does have the two that I was concerned over.
First motion as, or I'm sorry, resolution as written and provided by Dr. Turek. Any further discussion?
Roll call.
Well, roll call is being requested, so.
Thompson,
No.
Small,
No.
Reggie,
No.
Brumman.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you, everybody, for the information, participation. On to new business. Claims. Make a motion to approve and authorize claims presented for payment between 9/1/2021 and 9/14/2021 for check numbers 145,330 to 145,461. E-check number is 1659 to 1673 for a grand total of $769,287.72. Motion by Brady, supported by Thompson. Roll call, please.
Small,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes,
Brady,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Next item is the Housing Preservation Grant Agreement. I can speak to this. Our housing representative has requested a grant from USDA. We're going to be awarded a grant. I have to sign it, just have to sign and approve. The total was. I forgot. $30,000 roughly. I'm not sure that I need approval to sign this, but then I'm just letting you know that it happened. And I will sign. Next item. Untitled Township ordinance. You may.
I sent an email to all of you indicating that I would ask that you waive the 30-day waiting period. It has to do for the Untitled Township property ordinance. It has to do with hunting. If I asked you in my email if you had an issue with that, if you would contact me or would let me know. And I did not hear from anyone. And at this time, if I may, I will move to waive the 30-day wait period for the proposed prohibition of hunting on township-owned property ordinance for the Untitled Township.
Motion by Carolyn, supported by Bill. Any further discussion? I guess we'll do all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I'm opposed. I will put that restricting on anything, so. But it carries, so we're good. Next up is the finance report. Put that to me again. Don't have anything to bring forward, but I'm sure that Cheryl has some stuff prepared for us to review. You want to do it under treasurer, or you want to do it now?
I just have a listing of some updates to a few departments that are in need of issue, that have some issues with their budgets. I had presented them with that a few weeks ago, and some of those things have not been done. We don't have a whole lot. I mean, this is out of the whole budget, so we're looking pretty good. But I will be contacting those departments in regards to that. The changes that need to be done, the library civilians, and we had a discussion with them, and I believe the commissioner that's not here.
Yeah.
Is that's handling that with her, he's been talking, or is that you? The library.
Library, that'd be Dan.
That's what I thought. Okay, so Dan is talking to her, and we're waiting on the reconstruction tomorrow for the 2022 numbers for wages and health insurance and all the line items above the numbers that our responsibility happens to be in that office for payroll and that. So we're just kind of waiting on that, and we'll have those updated as soon as we get them, and all the departments are ready to go. As you saw, the sheriff is ready to get his numbers in there. And it'll just be a matter of getting those in, and I'll be doing those this weekend if I get them by Friday. So I'll get those doing our best taken care of, and those will be all to all the departments, and that's what we've been working on. And kind of took a peek back at 2021, which is like what's here. There's not a whole lot that needs to be addressed, but we're getting done, and I'll be sending those out. Like I said, the main one is the library. There's a few items in drug court, and then we're waiting on the, also on the wages, the changes from the contracts to update for 2021. There's a few things we're waiting on, and then we'll get moving on those. Other than that, the sale was successful. We had one that it will be going to the second sale for the tax sale. John has updated our website with the necessary information on the foreclosure process, and we are sending out information to the taxpayers. We're adding a timeline to the delinquent bills, so they're aware of where they are in the process, and I think that'll help. There's also a new program coming out for assistance on taxes with Mishta. Through the COVID funding, they will be eligible, depending on where they fall in the income, of approximately up to $25,000 for relief of housing issues if they're running behind on their payments, taxes. So we've never had one that was specifically geared towards taxes. So this one does cover that. So that'll be a program we'll be able to offer people who are in trouble, but it won't be finalized until after December. But we'll be rushing to get information to the people once that's confirmed, and we can get that information out to the taxpayers. Other than that, making tax payments.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry that we skipped personnel. Kind of jammed it all in one, so personnel, what do you got?
We're not offended.
Yeah.
We're looking, spending quite a bit of time reviewing union contracts, even that type of thing, regular provisions. And I do want to express our appreciation to Trina and the clerk's office. They are working with us to make sure that hiccups that may exist that are troublesome to the clerk's office and payroll or any other entity there. But we appreciate their cooperation.
Because we already brought up the thing and what Biden was saying. Another issue.
And we have wrestled a lot with past potential use.
Sure. Yep, and it's gonna be front of mind here for foreseeable futures. So we did treasures. How about the clerk's report?
Right now, we have a jury trial going on this week, so our office is pretty involved in that, and we're just working closely with finance and the treasurer's office for the 2022 budget, amongst everything else that we need to do.
If you would, after the meeting, I'll get with you guys and talk about maybe meeting tomorrow, talking about if that's still a possibility or not. I'd like to.
Yeah, we're planning on all of
Okay.
the stuff.
All right, just let me know what time.
Sure.
Thank you very much. This is communications from Roscommon County, read your leisure. Committee reports. Start with Terry.
Attended mental health meeting, and also townships Mitchell and Curtis. Mental health is in their use. They send a thank you to the board for motion. I believe it was a motion. I'm going to ask Carol that. Was a motion, wasn't it? Or would we do a resolution?
What do the minutes say?
That was 2 minutes, 2 minutes ago.
They're online. if you need it.
That was something we helped with that. Anyway, they send their thanks for what.
The EDC has approached me to have a workshop meeting on the 21st. The company that is performing the asset audit, as far as what we have in the ground for broadband, is did a nice presentation to the EDC last week, and there was a very good turnout. So in an effort to get more people educated, and I invited all the township officials as well. it'll be on Zoom if you want to watch it there, or it'll be on YouTube if you want to watch it later, but with good information about what actually we have in the ground here. And it'll be good, it'll be a good report, so hey, it would be the 21st at 1 o'clock here.
Are they going to send us that same connection? Was it in your email?
We'll be doing it here. He's coming here to present. Which is the other. Yeah, it was an email. I'll put a link on the, I'll have John put a link on the website for it. What else? I think that's all I have for right now. Village chat.
We've been doing the different union contracts and discussing things with EMS, and went to the city of Harrisville, and they're having on the 24th this Friday between 2 and 3, a basically ribbon cutting for their charging station down at the harbor. There'll be the people that put it in, and Summer Energy and a few others that will be down there. It's the 24th Friday between 2 and 3 p.m.
Who's functioning right now?
Yeah. They said I had a pre-opening, and then now this is the official.
Yeah. There's 4 cars can go at once.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd like to try to get they were invited me to a Zoom, and I couldn't get on it today, but they could have it 8:30 this morning. But I'd like to get the man at the organization that actually started it to have him come and give a presentation on the commercial side of the electric station somewhere.
Okay. How are you, Carolyn?
911, we have the tower, about 2.5 weeks ago, we had a high-end piece of equipment that got fried in an electric storm. We are working on that with our insurance agency, actually. Working with Tim on it to see if, in theory, normally, as an insurance company, they would just replace your existing whatever happened. If the dog jumped on the piano and broke the piano, you get the same identical piano, even though nobody's playing piano in the house anymore. So we got a similar situation where the microwave was damaged, fried, damaged beyond any possible usage. But there's a different piece of equipment that is considerably less and helps us move on into the 800 megahertz. And so we're kind of trying to negotiate that they would just buy that for us instead of replacing. We have to, they can spend the $30,000 to replace this. $30,000 left to go on. We're trying to work on that. Also, I'm sorry, the first of the month was on a Wednesday, and so all my things that are normally the third week are next week. So anyway, we've been busy with all summer, really. Dave has been working on upgrading Harbor Town, and not the very last, but the last really big item there is the need for 2 furnaces and 2 air conditioners and the accompanying electrical wiring and that type of thing. And we have gotten prices on those, and we're going to be able to install that probably during the month of October. That would be complete. That would be really good forward move. We still have to do some tree trimming in order to maintain the warranty on the roof. but, those are the primary things, within those township meetings, et cetera.
Okay, thank you very much. We will go to our last public comment for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Same as before. Yes, sir.
I raised my hand, I thought maybe I'd catch it.
Oh, well,
Working in the
you should have
reports.
just yelled at me. Pretty quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, road commission, so, was there last week, actually missed, I was one of the missing guys at the EDC, because road commission. It was a couple times that thing gets on the same night, so that's kind of a problem. Couple things that came up, so there's, most people have seen the cones on the 41, that's a resurface, gonna be happening all the way up to 23. They have sort of, they're saying, it's not the same issue as what the county has here on their retirement plan, as far as a corrective action plan that they have to file. Theirs is something a little different because they're paying cash for some things. They have a corrective action plan they're taking care of. But the final one that maybe you'll get some calls from your constituents, so they're gonna look at changing permit fees. Going up or down, you get a call from somebody saying, hey, what's going on? So permit fees that the road commission would charge would be putting the driveway in, you're doing anything on the right of way, you're doing. For me as a farmer, we use the roads in the right time, the road restrictions, those are permit fees. So they're gonna take a look at the schedule of amounts of those and come back in a regular public meeting. So other than that, things are running well. They had a really good year. Things are starting to wrap up with their equipment purchases that they made. It costs a lot of money to get it in, but they're very, very efficient getting things done. in a lot of timely manner.
Anything else? Okay, good. Thanks, Greg. Now we'll proceed into public comment, limit 5 minutes. State your name and your township of residence, please.
I guess I could try it. My name is Bill Sickman, I'm from Mankato. I was reviewing the last video from the last meeting, and you mentioned you would like some facts to support the no vaccine ordinances. And so I have a few. I mean, there's many I don't have here, but here's a few from a couple of news articles that I received from both Republican conservative friends and non-Republican conservative friends of mine. The first would be articles from the Gateway Pundit and the Labor Veracity, going over some of the data from the VARS reporting system, which is a reporting system ran by the U.S. federal agencies, health agencies. From July 24th to the article was published September 13th. There had been 3,296 deaths due to the COVID mRNA injection. I might not call it a vaccine. That's 70 deaths a day. So far in this year, there have been 15,000 deaths attributed to that mRNA injections, the experimental injections that they call vaccines. So far, there's been 675,000 reports of adverse reactions to those vaccines. And if you don't trust or like the US government's statistics, the European Union has a similar equivalent reporting system called the EMA reports system. They have had 1 million or nearly 1 million reports of adverse events because of the experimental mRNA COVID injections, including 250,000 cases that were so severe that they resulted in hospitalizations or deaths. Those are just a few facts from those articles. It has been reported that initially they told us that the vaccines were 95% efficacious, and now they've reduced that to their estimates. The studies that I have seen, the best estimates are somewhere around 30 to 35% efficacious, which is common for like the flu vaccine. The reason I mention that is if you're at all familiar with the concept of weed resistance, that's how I know how to describe it, because I'm just a dumb farmer. But if you're at all familiar with that concept, when you have a selection pressure that is not 100% or near 100%, you end up with species of weed, or in this case, it's a virus that survives the injection, but it's the mutants, the mutant varieties of that virus that survive that are potentially more deadly. And so the vaccines are actually detrimental to ending the pandemic. They're making the virus worse, not better. And then on top of that, you don't have to search very hard to find many numerous reports of health, adverse health events. Everything from stillborn births to birth defects to people having heart issues and heart attacks. In the last 2 weeks alone, I have had 2 acquaintances of mine that have died. One was 39, one was 41, males, fathers, husbands, both had 3 or 4 children, young children, and no health issues, no health issues. They both died. The medical professionals have not been able to determine why they died. I suspect it's related to the vaccines. And that's all I have, but I would, I would feel pretty bad for elected officials that know things like this and have done nothing to protect their employees at the county level or their constituents here at the county level. So I just hope you do some research and mull over what the federal government is doing to us.
Thank you.
Sir, could you spell your name for me?
Yes. William. Last name is Sickner.
Thank you.
Next, please. Public comment.
My name is Rosie Perrin from Guston Township, and I have a 14-year-old nephew who got the COVID shot and ended up with a brain bleed. He will never be the same. I have an older brother who has been extremely healthy always, who got the COVID shot and is now passing out and having heart issues, and there is no way. I have a daughter-in-law right now who is here from Texas, and she has to go back to Texas, and just found out that she's gonna have to drive it back, because she has to go back for work. She's working right now, computer. But she's going to have to go back to do some stuff and can't fly because she doesn't have a COVID shot. And they had COVID. They survived COVID, and now she has to get a shot, which makes her more vulnerable to getting sick than she would be without it. So we really need to do something about this. We as a county, we as a country, but we need to start grassroots. We need to start here, because if we, the people, don't start here, by the time it gets to the upper levels, there's nothing we can do. You guys know that.
Thank you. Next for our public comment, please. Okay. Hearing no other comments. Nobody online speaking up that I can see. Okay, so Commissioners, additional comments and concerns? We will adjourn the meeting until October 6th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. Thank you again for everybody for coming.
I just wonder if they know if their constituents know how they feel. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You get an email.
Yeah.
I'll get involved in that.
Yeah.